in the Department of Communication with the Shaheen College of Arts and Sciences here at the University of Indianapolis. I'll be your moderator this evening as each candidate presents an opening statement on behalf of their campaign, participates in a robust discussion answering questions submitted by their fellow students and the debate commission, and closes out with a conclusory statement in the same order in which they give their openings. As a reminder, voting opens April 15th. We'll start now with a reminder of the rules to both our debate participants and the audience at large. Article 1, Section 1, General Expectations. 1, participants, moderators, and members of the audience shall be respectful of each other at all times. All candidates and affiliated individuals shall be held accountable for the contents of these rules. 2, participants, candidates for student body president shall be the only participants in the debate. Candidates shall refrain from using technology at all times during the debate. Candidates may print copies of their platform for personal use, but are not allowed to use props of any kind during the debate. I shall be the moderator of the debate and shall enforce all rules and regulations hereby established. The moderator must not actively engage in discussions with the candidates. The moderator must address any disrespectful behavior and redirect the debate when necessary. In order to ensure fairness and impartiality, the moderator must enforce debate rules equally, especially those on speaking time limits. Audience. The audience shall maintain appropriate decorum to avoid distractions to candidates, moderators, and other members of the audience. Debate format. Opening statements. Each slate shall be given a total of 3 minutes to present an opening statement. All candidates may speak during the opening statement for their slate. The order in which slates will obtain the floor shall be determined randomly and shall be alternated for the duration of the debate. General questions. The Student Election Commission shall prepare a set of general questions applicable to all slates participating in the debate. All questions asked by the Student Election Commission shall be neutral and thus not favor any slate or candidate. After the moderator has asked a question, each slate shall have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to that question. The Student Election Commission shall prepare a set of questions related to each slate's platform. All questions asked by the Student Election Commission shall be neutral and thus not favor any slate or candidate. For each round of questions, the Student Election Commission must ask one question that is applicable to all slates or ask one question of equal complexity to each slate. After the moderator has asked a question, each slate shall have a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to that question. Once the Student Election Commission has asked their set of questions, they shall ask the set of questions set forth by the audience. The questions have been predetermined before the debate to ensure fairness. Closing statements. Each slate shall be given a total of 3 minutes to present a closing statement. All candidates may speak during the closing statement for their slate. The order in which slates will be given, the floor for closing statements shall be the same order in which opening statements were given. You've all drawn slots, so up first, Jessalyn Heiser.
I'm still here next year as a master's in public relations student, and I am super excited for that. I am running with Caitlin Phillips. She is a major in accounting and finance with a minor in business administration. Kind of what I want to do running for SGA president is improve our sense of community here. We've got a lot of separation across campus, and I think that we can really, thrive moving forward if we're more connected with each other. And that means building relationships both professionally and on the more personal level. Something that I kind of hope to bring back, town halls. I think that we could really benefit from putting leaders on campus up front and letting students ask questions. I think that's the most transparency that we could usually get unless we just continuously send out emails. We all know how often we check our emails. And then another big thing that I would love to bring back is Town. That's our student section at different sporting events. And I think that when students go to sporting events now, there's not a section for them to belong in. So everybody is too separated. It used to be an RSO here on campus, but ever since COVID, it hasn't had enough interest to gain traction to become an RSO again. So I think that we could really just kind of increase the student, body at public events like that, and it was awesome seeing it during the eclipse. So we had so many come out for that. It was super awesome, and I think that we can just use that sense of community to make UIndy a home for everybody. everybody. And we know that when we feel at home here, we're allowed to kind of grow as individuals, but also become the best versions of ourselves together side by side.
Thank you. And next, Mr. Stefano Ibarra.
Good afternoon. I would like to start with a quote that represents the hard work it took to build, support, and strengthen our student government. I stand on the sacrifices of a million students before me, thinking, can I do to make this mountain taller so the students after me can see further? Today, I address you as both a listening and a dedicated student, volunteer, who serves as your student body president at UND. I would like to thank you for trusting me in my ability to lead our student body. Before I introduce myself, I would like to introduce Melody Thompson, our current communication chair. I am pleased to have her on my team, and I cannot wait to keep working with you, Melody. Her commitment, good faith, and understanding is unique. Now, I am Stefano Ibarra, and I'm honored to serve as your student body president for this academic year. This academic year has been crucial for student government, which was previously non-existent. We've established a solid foundation, a foundation that would ensure our future SGAs would have to start from a clean slate. We've created procedures and a constitution, built connections, wrote proposals that finally got approved by the administration. Attended meetings that achieved the approval of these proposals and created the foundation that our Student Government Association depends on. Toward our goal of fostering connections among students, faculty, administrators, staff, and Indiana government, we work and continue to work to improve the UND experience. During this time, we haven't just established our connections. We have also collaborated extensively with our student body, campus offices, and the surrounding community. We have created safe spaces where students can feel valued, listen, and seen. We will continue to work tirelessly for our student body. We advocate for their voices and needs. Our goals for next year, to continue the momentum that we have built and established, keep increasing the sense of belonging, keep increasing involvement in campus, keep listening to students to accomplish their wants. As a consequence, we will continue to complete and implement proposals inspired by students' opinions and beliefs. Finally, I'm here today because there is more work to be done. Melody and I believe that impossible is possible for us if we continue to work. We will improve our campus community. We will continue to listen and advocate for students. We will improve accessibility to our campus resources and support from administration. We are the best choice to represent you.
Mr. Joe Don Johnson.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Can I take this off of here? No? Okay. Thank you. I'd rather hold it. Hello, everyone. My name is Jotan Johnson. I am a junior here at the University of Indianapolis studying criminal justice with two concentrations of pre-law and law enforcement. And then my roommate, my vice president, Imelda Pozos, she's a history major with a minor in political science. So some things that we want to accomplish if we get the opportunity is to make UND inclusive and supportive, so to where students have access to SGA, where they know where the office and that they know where they can go and voice their concerns. And we also want to work on creating that community where people feel comfortable with being themselves, people feel comfortable with expressing themselves. And then we want to advocate for students and ensure that all voices are seen and heard. So attending a university with 3,000 plus students, some students may feel not heard or not seen. And me and Imelda and I want to make sure that all students have the equal opportunity to be heard and to be seen. And then we also want to make SGA more visible, accessible, and available to our fellow Greyhounds. So we want to make sure that all incoming freshmen, or whether or not students that already attend UND, have access to SGA, and they know where SGA is, and they know who the cabinet members of SGA are. Thank you, guys.
And Mr. Noah Nabel.
Hi, my name is Noah Maple, and the running mate is Jordan Weddle. I'm a multi-generational student here, following the footsteps of my father, my grandfather, and my great-grandfather. I'm pursuing a double major in music education and music business, and Jordan is majoring in biology with a pre-medicine concentration. As soon-to-be sophomores, admission ambassadors, and honor students, we are committed to making a positive impact on the UND campus community and advocate for the needs and concerns of our fellow students. In doing so, we have a three-pronged strategy and approach. The first of which is SGA transparency and proper student representation. We must diversify perspectives representing our cabinets with representation from international students, student athletes, honor students, commuter students, out-of-state students, and all of the above. People with different backgrounds, people with different expertises, and people with different majors make this a great student body cabinet for us to have. We also need to strengthen the connection between the SGA and the overall student body through an open line of communication and frequent status updates, meaning that bi-weekly or weekly, we will send out emails updating the student body of what we're working towards, what conversations have been started, and how conversations are going throughout the end result. The second of which, we must foster student engagement. At a college whose motto is education for service, leaders should be the biggest servants. We need to truly define what this means for us as a student body, but not just as a university blanket statement. We also must expand engagement opportunities beyond the university and interact with this great community that we have around us in the Circle City area, partnering with organizations to create a whole sense of belonging for the community outside of campus, but also on campus, and merging the two and building a bridge so we're not just a university in Indianapolis, we're a university for Indianapolis. We also want to have a controlled grip on student well-being and student retention. Student retention is a growing problem at the University of Indianapolis. We must create a community structure that supports young students and provides them with an infrastructure that makes students feel supported, recognized, and part of this community. That is the first step in making sure that we retain our students and that we are actively trying to combat this issue that has been growing since COVID. Furthermore, as first-year students ourselves, we have witnessed the challenges and the struggles and the unknowns of what it is to be a first-year student, and we can know how best to address that and meet first years where they are by providing student mentors, faculty mentors, and providing the necessary support systems to help them journey along their university experience here at UND. We're not running because we want the title, but we're running because we're proud to be Greyhounds. We want to see this community on campus blossom into new heights. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. As you're aware, student body and campus community had the opportunity to submit questions prior to the debate. The first question up comes from one of those submitted questions. We start with Mr. Ibarra. What qualities do you think make a good leader?
I think, well, the leadership, the open communication, and the open dialogue between the teamwork. I think we have been working in SGA as a teamwork. We actually created the first SGA board after a non-existent SGA. So we created positions first, then we find the best fit for those positions, and then we wanted to introduce those positions to the student body. Of course, we wanted the student body that is well represented. So, for example, we have the student athlete chair. So we focus on different student athlete needs and classes and all the events. For example, one of the Jocelyn mentioned the football games. But also, I think being a good leader and having open communication between the teamwork, I think it's really essential to be a leader.
Mr. Johnson, same question.
And then may I have you repeat that question, please? Thank you.
What qualities do you think make a good leader?
Some qualities that I believe that makes a good leader is someone who doesn't have, Some qualities that I think make a good leader is someone who's open in communication, so someone who's transparent with each other, someone who's transparent with the students and actually in count of what the students' needs, what the student needs are, and then also someone who doesn't have their head hyped. So meaning like someone who is not in the role just because of what the role is, someone who actually cares about our university and about the students that attend our university. Thank you.
Mr. Maple, same question. I'd
like to tackle this question in two parts. First of all, we need to talk about Servant leadership is a big priority of mine and also Jordan's as well. Servant leadership means being a leader for the people and not for yourself, but also being the first on the ground to make things change and make things happen. We need to see eye to eye with the student body, and that is impossible in other ways of student leadership. You did not set the timer. It's all good. The second of which, leadership is important in 3 categories. You must be integral, have a good character of integrity, you need to be adaptable, and you also need to manage your time well. Time management is one of the biggest philosophies of being a good leader. That means that you can allocate time between both your studies as a student, but also throughout your responsibility of being a student body president or any other leader in that category. Being adaptable means that you have to be willing to adapt on the fly, make changes to organizations, make changes to structures already being put in place, and make changes to events. Being adaptable is a crucial part of being a leader. And last, integrity. Being able to openly admit mistakes and being openly transparent with what you're doing as a student body leader and as a leader in general is the last portion of that equation. Thank you.
Ms. Heiser?
So, being a good leader, there's so many different types of leadership, and things for me that leadership means, it's like being adaptable, like Noah said, and then being transparent, like Jotan said, and I think that with coming with transparency and that open communication, you're working on building relationships on the foundation of trust. I think that if people don't trust you as a leader, it's very difficult to kind of get that open communication and get honesty from people. Being honest is huge. Like, you can be transparent as much as you want, but if you're mislabeling things or kind of hiding behind things and not fully coming out with what you mean or what you are labeled as, anything like that, it's very difficult to kind of build a relationship where people are going to trust you, because what they see is what you tell them and what they see at face value. And I think that having that trust, it's okay to make mistakes because we can forgive each other, and admitting to those mistakes also builds that trust.
Mr. Johnson, if you could identify one problem on campus that you were able to fix during your term, what would it be and how would you plan to fix that?
So, the problem that I would fix would be student engagement, student involvement. Some events that I've attended from personal experience, it lacks the student involvement. So whereas we don't have a inclusive group of students that attend the events. So one thing Amelia and I want to work on is getting students out to those events, getting students involved, making those connections where students can feel comfortable, as I mentioned earlier, to want to be involved, to want to attend events, to want to just get out in our community. So that would be one thing that we want to work on, is getting students involved. Thank you.
Mr. Maple?
As I touched on my opening statement, I think that one of the big problems that we have here at the university, just going through the process, is our first year kind of checkup response agency. Well, not agency, but kind of system we have in place. And I know a lot of my peers would say that we felt unsupported as going through the process. That's not anyone's fault. That's just a matter of we not have the people who manage this stuff has been around for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. That means that they've had the opportunity to kind of understand how the university is run. So having a younger set of people kind of taking the charge on that and making our students feel supported throughout their first steps here at the university and beyond is a huge factor to play into this. As far as the student retention policy in the grand scheme of things, I think a great way to do that is really pairing people up with people in separate majors, the same majors, people with certain faculty that'll help lead and guide first-year students to a place where they feel comfortable, but also empowered to make a difference here on campus and to live life on campus like it is their job and to be more involved with things. That's how we get people involved, is the people that come into this campus need to feel that sense of community right away, and that all starts with support.
Ms. Heiser, same question. Absolutely. If you were able to solve one problem on campus during your term, what problem would you identify and how would you solve it?
Okay, so I think our
Mr. Ibarra, same question.
Thank you so much for that question. I think it's really important talking about those, and I will talk about how we are fixing these problems currently. The first problem that we have been fixing is the communication between administration, faculty, and students. We have created a food committee where we can reduce the miscommunications and increase the student input to create a better outcome regarding dining. Also, we have been increasing a sense of belonging. I think if you don't feel that you belong here, it's really difficult for you to stay for the gathering program, for different things. I want to create a unity that is home away from home. So the sense of belonging, the things that we have been going on and practicing and going through is, for example, International Women's Day, that we have been giving away flowers to women on her day or their day, think they feel seen, value, and listen. We want to create that sense of belonging, increasing belonging, and of course, making them feel that they belong here as during the community.
Mr. Maple, this next question begins with you. This was also submitted by the campus community. How do you plan on engaging graduate students? How will you bring their thoughts and representation to the table?
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, graduate students a lot of times have been here all 4 years and going into grad school. But also they hold a really valuable viewpoint if they're not just here all 4 years. I mean, I know a couple people have just done grad school here, have come from a lot of different backgrounds. And I think that enhancing all of those backgrounds that people may come from, people in different disciplines, but also different schools in general, could really have a special place on our committee, on our cabinets, and in our offices as well. I think that enhancing and empowering those people who may feel like they're like walking into unknown territory, or that may feel like they've been here all along, I think that all of them have a certain input that they can make to make this a better university and a better student body committee in total. Thank you.
Ms. Heiser, how would you engage with graduate students, and how will you bring their thoughts and representation to the table?
Yes, so I am like in my grad program, and I will be in it next year as well. With grad students, you know, they're older. They are, and some of the events that we have here, they're great for undergrads. However, I'm not sure if it's reaching the grad level. They're very serious about their studies. They want to further their knowledge, not to say undergrads don't at all. However, these people, they're going for their masters, they're going for their doctorates. Like the workload increases as you get into those grad programs. I think that by maybe putting on more mature events, essentially, kind of where we can introduce, like if you have questions about a grad program, talk to a grad student, let's make those introductions to each other. I think that also grad students don't know what's on campus. A lot of them, I know specifically, don't live on campus, and so they are commuting to us. And I think that making the events later at night or on the weekends, that's another trip of gas that they have to use. And for college kids, it's still extended to grad school. So making those events more during the day and more accessible in more public places and underutilized areas on campus would work really well with helping our grad students get involved.
Thank you. Mr. Ibarra?
So on board we have Mr. Gisai, he's our current vice president, and he's on the graduate program. So we have a representation already from the graduate community. Now, as well, I think then I will promise to have this graduate position as well, not just split the position as vice president and the graduate assistant. We will have a vice president, and then we will have a graduate assistant. Of course, as Jocelyn said, I think it's really important to treat them as students as well, because they are students. I mean, having them having positions and having, you know, those tabling events, of course, we're going to have these, for example, weekend, we have pickleball tournament where we enhance the student experience, and we have different opportunities just to come and hang out between students, undergraduate and graduate students. Having those connections between the undergraduate program and the graduate program to learn from each other, I think is really key. We need to find ways, and we need to keep finding ways to enhance those little gaps between the undergraduate and graduate
Mr. Johnson.
Okay, and then I'm so sorry. May you repeat it, please?
How do you plan on engaging graduate students? How will you bring their thoughts and representation to the table?
So, most graduate students graduate from our university. Well, some, I wouldn't say most. Some graduate from our university, and they know the walk, and they know how it has been the 4 years that they were here. So just because you move up a level doesn't mean you're not a UND Greyhound anymore. So like having events where, like they mentioned down there, are like more mature or like on graduate level where they can just come out and feel involved. Maybe like events in Smith Mall to where it's not just graduates or undergraduates, where people can come and connect and they can actually be seen as a mentor on campus to like, oh, I actually want to do this as well. So our undergrads can look up to them and get advice, get support from them. And then also just making sure that their voices are heard as well. And like anything that they need specifically that they want to accomplish, just being open and, taking in what they have to say. Thank you.
The following question was also submitted and will be our last one where we start giving everyone individual questions. How do you plan to work with campus police to continue to improve safety on campus? We begin with Ms. Iser.
Yeah, so campus safety is like huge here, especially like being here the past few years, and I've definitely seen improvement since when I was a freshman here. I think that being able to communicate like, hey, these are certain areas that students aren't feeling the best about their safety. Can we collaborate on something and find out what works best for you guys, what works best for us, kind of what are students saying, why don't they feel safe in these areas? I think like the crosswalks, especially not just on Hannah, but also there is one from the university lofts coming onto our parking lot over behind Central and East and stuff. And that crosswalk, it doesn't have a light, it has one sign, but there are really no lights over there, or at least ones that don't light up. I went for a walk last night and I could barely see my dog, she was like 3 deep in front of me. And I was like, okay, like maybe we should like report this, and like I want to know why that light specifically isn't lighting up and why we haven't fixed it yet. But also our other crosswalks are so well monitored, and like there's flashers there on Hannah. Why can't we put one on, by the one going from University Lofts over into that parking lot? Is there something that the university police have to say, like, no, we can't do that because of this specific reason? Okay, great, I respect that totally. What can we do instead? How can we adjust and adapt and learn?
Thank you. Mr. Ibarra, same question.
So I think I would talk about the connection that we have with the chief right here. We have been in several meetings that we ensured that the security on campus has been increased. Now, a few of you guys may know that we have different cameras in the accessible ways on campus, that they have face recognition and they have plate recognition. So the security on campus has been increased. Now, in my awareness, there are more police officers that we ensure that the campus is safe. Now, that small little box that is emergency box, also they have been checked, and we know that they are good to be used. Now, we were planning to have a tabling event where we could have a police officer. So if you guys have any questions regarding security and you guys want an answer from a police officer, you guys have it. I think we want to teach and have those connections between the students that they can go to police officers and ask questions if they feel like to. And if you guys want to be represented by student government, we will love to do that for you, for sure.
Mr. Johnson, how do you plan to work with campus police to continue to improve safety on campus?
So, thank you. I feel like getting involved with campus police, seeing them around a lot more, is it plays a huge part in people feeling comfortable enough to call the hotline when they're in crisis or whatever they're going through. I also feel like, last year I would say we saw them around for a good amount, and they would have coffee in the morning, and you will see them and you can walk up to them and talk to them. So having more events like that to where you can have that one-on-one connection with the officers and actually feel comfortable enough to go to them if you need anything or if you have any concerns.
Mr. Maple, same question.
Yeah, so from what I understand, and from what I remember being on campus, there used to be a kind of like a call site, like small police kind of mock station up in Switzer, so in this building, and I think that is really important, and I was really surprised that they took that away, because I mean the police station is across campus. I mean it's a trek to get out there, and I think that centralizing the police into a way where that they're easily accessible in person at an office is really important to not just the safety, but the actual presence in the community that we have of police officers. And I mean, our officers and our campus safety system is really awesome. I mean, I've seen people patrolling at 3 a.m. as they go back from Crystal DeHaan from practicing. That's just how awesome they are. And I see them in Crystal DeHaan practicing piano too. I see them in every individual parts of campus and ESH, everywhere, engaging with the students more. And I think that normalizing those interactions between officers and students is a great way to involve them in the community to begin with. But as far as specific things, there's one thing that I really noticed, and that's as a Greyhound ambassador giving tours the engineering building in particular. There's no crosswalk that's easily accessible to get like from the Greyhound Village area to the engineering building, and I think that in itself throws prospective students off with their families because there's no crosswalk there. You're passing busy traffic. So I think as far as specifics go, I think that's one of the things, and also recreating a centralized office that people can actually go to, and it's not across campus.
Thank you. Now we'll be moving on to the individual questions. I'm going to start with Mr. Ibarra. How do you respond to criticism that since the Student Life Activities Board had its funding cut to pave the way for the return of the Student Government Association, students have complained that there are not enough activities taking place on campus that they can participate in?
Well, and thank you for the question, because I think there's a miscommunication. A student government is ready to advocate for student needs. Its lab is more focused on events. Its lab is more focused on events like Winter Forum, like breakfast that is going to come out. I think a student government was willing to collaborate with its lab. Of course, we couldn't make it, and I think that's one of the priorities that maybe we have Islam mentioned to SGA, because I think that Islam is a group of leaders as much as SGA, and we need a group together. We need one unity family. We don't need two group of leaders. We need just one group of leaders working for the shared goal. Now, that funding, I know unity has been critical in this funding activities, but we knew how to go around for those activities. I think collaborating with the offices that we have had the collaborations before, collaborating with the RSOs, we took 50 students who didn't step on basketball court about the Pacers, and then we took them. They have free transportation, they have free tickets, they have free meals, they have free water. They could step on the court and they could shoot a shot. So I think just having those collaborations is key. Having those collaborations with SLAB in the future, having those collaborations with the RSOs. We continue to work. We will keep working tirelessly to make sure that we just work as one big unity family, because that's what we want to accomplish in the future.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson. Student government has been a campus entity on and off in the school's history. How would you ensure its continued existence/relevance?
So I'm a very, very friendly person. So, so like, just keeping SGA name alive basically is what I took from that question. You do that by making connections. You do that by making sure that people feel comfortable with coming up to you. And that's why I started off by saying I'm a really friendly person, because you can just walk up to me. I have the personality to where if you need anything or if you want to have a conversation and you want to, get to know each other, you can do that. So by making SGA relevant, you just have to have those connections on campus, and you have to have those connections that they are actually meaningful.
Mr. Mabel, what do you see as the role in student government and its relationship to the university's administration? Do you think SGA has fulfilled that role this year? And if not, how would you improve its impact?
All right. So SGA's role is at its core to be an advocate for y'all. And yes, each one of us may have our own personal agendas and things that we need to be either capitalized on or kind of diminished on. And I have done nothing but applaud Stefano's work this year. And walking into this as a first year, it's been amazing. I've seen the work that he's done. I've seen the work that Mallory and the other cabinet members have done on this campus. And I think that they have exceeded all expectations as far as that goes. I wouldn't change anything at what they're doing. They're doing great. The only aspect that we would have as kind of shifting focus to two new people would just be some more diverse, like thoughts and opinions, some different focuses in some different areas. We're not trying to change anything. We're just trying to make it easier for students like yourselves to be able to engage with us, engage with administration, but also further on this idea of what a community is. I mean, look around you. I mean, we have probably 100 seats in here, and maybe a third of them are filled up. I mean, that goes to show what our student body involvement is here right now. And we see that in things across the board. And as a first-year student walking into that, that's a little intimidating because, A, we felt like we don't belong, and two, we feel like, well, it's all just kind of like a show. So I think that the real important factor that we would bring and kind of bridging that gap is to really up that community and that student body community specifically by bringing in outside community partners, by bringing in, by making the first year students feel belonged. And I think that's what it comes down to. And congrats again, Stefano. Great job.
Ms. Heiser, how do you define social justice, and how do you plan to make sure all uni students feel included? Mr. Ibarra, this also comes from a submitted question. As an incumbent, what do you plan to improve on from your prior stint as SG President and Vice President?
Well, we have two. We have the first one, we want to implement the financial system. I think some students have financial struggles. I think being college is not easy. As an international student, it's difficult sometimes to pay bills. Having that financial assistant, having those connections with administration, having those connections with Director Lord, that he is in charge of all the financial stuff, I think it's going to be key. We want to create a fund then that is for emergency only, and it's just by approval. So having those connections and creating those families just for emergency over students who need it, I think is really important. And the other one, we want to create academic access. When you just have the course for next semester, you have immediate access about your materials and contents Of course, that comes with a collaboration with faculty, administration, and student government. Having that is instant in the academic researches is going to be key because, for example, some students cannot do the homework when they don't have the book. I think as a business student, it's really difficult to just not be graded because I don't have the book. So having that collaboration with the faculty administration, and that instead of just going and you paying for the book, is going to go to you bill, so you can explain as a payment plans. So I think it's something that we're looking for in the future.
Mr. Johnson, how do you plan to implement, this also was submitted by campus community, how do you plan to implement more sustainable practices at UND if you were to hold a student government position?
So if I was, sorry, I'm so sorry. May you please repeat that? I'm sorry.
How do you plan to implement more sustainable practices at UND if you were to hold a student government position?
So simply by having those events such as town hall meetings, as we mentioned earlier, and then also having like office hours to where students can come and just chat. It could be about their concerns, or it can just be about students getting to know Imelda and I. It doesn't have to really be about anything, but having those so students will know that we care for them, and also like making sure that events. Making sure we have repetitive events. So events that people are familiar with, and this happened last year. Let's go to events that people are aware of that happen often.
Mr. Maple, this comes from a member of our campus community who says, as a political science student myself, it is important for me that our student government advocate. This year, I did not see any advocacy for us. How will SGA next year advocate for us?
Yeah, so that's also something that I've taken note of as well. And the plan that we have in place is to have, yes, a cabinet that kind of focuses on like immediate needs, kind of actually implementing those needs, but also having a separate board to which we have a member that represents every single person. There is no two people up here, president and vice president, that can represent every single place. So I'm talking about international students, first-year students, graduate students, regular students, student athletes, out-of-state students, all of the above, from different majors, from different backgrounds, from different ethnicities, everything. So we can have a full understanding of what people want and what people are experiencing as students in our student body. The biggest thing that we want to make sure happens is that everyone feels heard, everyone feels represented, and everyone feels like they are part of something and part of the change that's going on in university. And once we have that, then we can focus on that community outreach, build up the community, and start on those other kind of things. It all starts with representation, though, and making sure that people feel belonged and people feel heard in their respective sources, in their respective areas.
Ms. Heiser, what sets UND apart from other universities, and how do you see SGA supporting that difference?
So my introduction to UND was by one of my high school teachers. I told him that I was thinking about colleges near Indianapolis, and he immediately was like, "Go Hounds!" And I was like, "Whoa, what on earth?" And he's like, "I went to University of Indianapolis. Like, go ahead and check it out." And I also have a lot, like, I see a lot of alumni. For whatever reason, I'm surrounded
This next question will be the last question before we proceed to closing statements. You will each have an opportunity to answer this question, and we will start with Mr. Maple. How and why did you pick your running mate?
Jordan Weddle. Let me just talk about this man real quick. We came in not knowing each other. I was on scrolling through the Z-Me app, like Tinder, he matched with me 99%, and within the hour, I was like, okay, this is the guy I'm going to roommate. I don't care who he is. But since then, we've been on a speech and debate team that's taught by Stephanie Weidman, and we've had great success with that. I mean, the overall connection that we have, the overall views that we have, how we goof around with each other. Like, he called me a dingbat earlier before he got on stage, whatever. Our leadership and our ability to work together really made that definitive in my mind of who I wanted to run with. Because, I mean, to be honest, I mean, we're two guys from suburban America. Yeah, you got that reference. We're two guys with very little kind of broad spectrum knowledge, and what we want to do is we want to broaden both our own individualized perspectives by running, but we also understand that being a Greyhound isn't just a title, it's also a lifestyle. And as a member of a family who has made this entire university part of our lifestyle, that is something that I really want to exhibit, and I know that Jordan feels the same exact way. So that's why I chose Jordan.
Mr. Johnson, how and why did you pick your running mate?
So, actually, I would like to publicly thank Imelda. Like, me and Imelda, our slogan is bridging together, leading the pack. And that's exactly what Imelda is for me. Like, she keeps me intact, and we're like a bridge, literally. I literally could not be sitting here right now if it wasn't for her. She motivates me to keep pushing our statement. Just keep going, you're almost done. And she's actually there, like, supportive mentally and just physically. When I was introduced that I should run for SGA, you know, I didn't know who at first. And then Imelda, me and Imelda work in OIE, so Office of Inclusive Excellence, and Imelda just stuck out. I'm like, Imelda. So it's actually kind of funny. So Imelda was in the office one day, and I just said, hey, Imelda, can I talk to you for a second? And so we stepped out, and we had a conversation, and I proposed I asked her if she would like to join me and be my vice president, and she did. She took some time, and she texted me and was like, I would. She wouldn't, I'm so sorry. She said, I would hesitantly, wait, did I say that right? Sorry. But she basically was like, I wouldn't mind, like, it would be a great offer to be your vice president. And ever since then, she has hit the ground running. She has kept going, making sure that the meetings that are needed to have, making sure the meetings that need to be had are had, and just, you know, keeping me motivated. So that's kind of how I picked Imelda, but again, thank you so much for all that you do.
Ms. Heiser, how and why did you pick your running mate?
So Caitlin and I, we met freshman year, so that was about 3 years ago. And when she and I first met, we had this really crazy story. We immediately bonded, and we came up with the idea of making a jetpack out of fire extinguishers. So random. It has not taken off yet, but it's just kind of like, I love to introduce myself and Katie, and we're just like, yeah, we thought we were going to build a jetpack together. No, we were not. Neither one of us is engineering. But Katie, she's one of those people that just, like, immediately when you talk to her, you just know she's a good vibe, she's a go-getter. Like, she hit the ground running with me, and I don't like to start things. I procrastinate constantly. Katie, not like that. Like, she started something and she's like, okay, I've got it. You go in, start it, edit it, and, like, let's make this work as a final product. So I'll go in, I'll work on stuff, and then she's like, oh, maybe this. And we'll collaborate constantly together. And sometimes we're on the same page, other times we're not on the same page, but we're both respectful enough of each other to kind of be like, okay, I understand where
Mr. Obara, how and why did you pick your running mate?
So when we started SGA, I was looking for different people really involved on campus. So then I got a recommendation from the office of SGA, and my mother was recommended to join to the student government. Natalie is someone who is really dedicated in what she does. She's really committed. She always listens to me. So I think choosing her because she knows the insides and the outsides of this community, unique community, I think it's really key for me. I think I can trust her on what she does. I think she can trust me in what I do. Of course, we practice open communication. We always are willing to understand more of each other. I always listen. I think a good listener needs a good listener too. So I think she's always there for me, and I think I really like her work, her hard work, her dedication, her commitment to the student body, always acting with good faith, and always is someone who cares. So I think she's a perfect fit for being the vice president, and I cannot wait to work with her.
We've now reached the time for your closing statements. In accordance to the debate rules, we will be going in the same order that you gave your opening statements. Ms. Heiser, you're up first.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody who came here tonight to listen to all of us and our opinions and kind of voice your concerns about what's going to happen next year. I hope that by attending you've gotten a better idea about initiatives that all of us have, but also myself, and kind of what Caitlin and I want to run on and what we stand for. Compound, town halls, interactive events, I think that we could start building a really good community here with those events. Katie and I, we understand that having a feeling and a place where you feel like you're at home is critical in how we're allowed to make choices and mistakes, but learn from them in a safe environment. It's not fair to anybody to make a mistake and constantly be ridiculed about it. So we want to be able to be like, okay, we made a mistake, cool, let's fix it together. No one should feel as if if their voice or their opinion is not being respected or listened to. And student government is still a new thing on UND's campuses. In its second year back, there's a lot of growing left to do. Caitlin and I would love to be able to work on that together, as well as cabinet members. And advocating for each other is something that we are very good at, and hope that we can encourage you to advocate for yourselves too. We're stronger together, and we hope that our intentions for SJ were very clearly communicated tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Ibarra.
So fellow UND students, thank you for being here today, for making the time to come and listen to all of us. Thank you for hearing and trusting me in our contributions and goals. Working with you and for you has always been our purpose and motivation behind everything we do. I want to take a time to congratulate Noah, Yutan, and Yoseli for being here today and advocate for the students. Every candidate came today with ideas, goals, and initiatives they hope to accomplish. Madeline and myself set ourselves apart as the only team with experience and prove that impossible is possible for us. I promise you all, my fellow UND students, that we will keep working tirelessly for you and with you. I promise that you will keep being listened. I promise that we will keep fighting for you. I will do whatever it takes to create a positive environment. A UND where you can feel home away from home. A UND where you can feel seen, listened, and valued. A UND that you can be yourself. Electing Mallory and myself is electing students who care. Students who are driven, committed, and honest. Promising to keep advocating and fighting for student goals, initiatives, ideas, and activities. We're students who have experienced and known what it takes to complete a successful term in our roles. Our goals we will accomplish if elected include, but are not limited to, tripling the amount of proposals we draft and propose, advocating for students' financial assistance to administration, continuing the use of vital communication channels to increase our outreach and represent more students. We promise to listen to you and act on what the students feel. Would you like to keep seeing change? Would you like to have people rooting for you? We are asking for your vote. Elections open up on April 15th. Vote for the team that has proved, been proven, and will prove to prove success.
Mr. Johnson.
Okay, first I would like to start by thanking staff, students, and guests who came out to listen to us give our statements as why you guys should vote for us. But I want to start with this. President, vice president, it's just a title. And to Imelda and I, it's just a title. I could go without the president title, but we have dreams and aspirations of actually making a change on campus and actually hearing from you guys and actually being your leader. As your representatives, we are committed to fostering an inclusive, supportive environment where every student feels valued, heard, and empowered to thrive. We believe by working together, we can create meaningful opportunities for personal growth, academic excellence, and community engagement. But let us be clear, we cannot do this alone. We are here today to ask you for your trust, your support, and your partnership in building a brighter future for our school. Together, we have the power to overcome challenges and leave a lasting impact that will inspire future generations to come. Thank you.
Mr. Mabel.
So I'd first like to start off by saying if you don't believe I'm dedicated, I missed pickleball tonight for this, which is a big thing for me. Second of all, I want to address the big elephant in the room, which is why the hell are two freshmen running for SGA president and vice president? And that is simply to expand the horizons of what voices are being heard here in the university as a student body in general. And a lot of our campaign is making sure that every student on campus, like your political science friend from the earlier question, has a voice and feels heard and is brought along the process of what it means to be a student government organization and a student government association. That means that we are taking people along with us through the ride, the trials and tribulations, through the updates, and through, well, I mean, of course, the expected downfalls of what we are doing and how we are going to be better for you as a student body, but also how we're going to be better as a university. We want to redefine what it means to be a Greyhound and realize that, no, it's not just a title, but it is a lifestyle. And everyone in here should deserve and be proud to be a Greyhound. And unfortunately, I'm sure that a lot of people probably wouldn't say that they are. So that starts with community engagement, making sure that everybody feels involved on campus, and making sure that this is a one-of-a-kind experience, because the University of Indianapolis is not just a school you go to, it's an experience that you live through. And we want to really capitalize on what that means as a student body and how we can better focus that. And we do that in those three ways: SGA transparency and proper student representation in our cabinets, fostering student engagement, and the student well-being and student retention. We need to make sure that we are outwardly putting out the numbers that make sense as a university, but also maintains our competitiveness with other universities as prospective students come and visit. We want them to make sure that they see how involved students are on campus. We want to make it a point to make sure that they understand that they will be heard, they will be recognized, and they'll be respected on campus. And we want to make sure that they will have a guiding hand in all of their first steps throughout their first time they walk through the door of Nickerson Hall to the day that they leave the doors of Nickerson Hall as a Greyhound and as a graduated Greyhound. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. That concludes the 2024 SGA Presidential Candidate Debate. As a reminder, voting opens this Monday, April 15th. You can watch this debate on Xfinity Channel 1096 or on demand at youtube.com/@uindy-tv. I'd like to thank each candidate for their participation, each audience member for joining us tonight, and wish everyone good luck in their upcoming election. From UIndy Hall and the Schweitzer Center on the University of Indianapolis campus, I'm Rick Dunkel. Have a good night.